creative living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
Becky, thank you so much for being here. I have lots of those little packages of polymer clay at home, prettiest colors, and I've never even opened them because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with them. So tell me how you got involved in working with polymer clay.
Well, I've always been crafting my whole life. I've done just about every craft there is out there. And a neighbor moved in our neighborhood, a new neighbor, and she did miniatures out of polymer clay. And they were so cute. And I just thought, oh, I got to learn how to do that. So she taught me how to do that. We did craft shows. I made thousands of cows, thousands of pigs over the years, and then got into making, using my polymer clay and selling the ideas to magazines, wrote books on it, and it just actually grew into a business.
Wow.
Is what it did.
Well, speaking of a book, I enjoyed reading the book because the pictures are very easy to follow.
Yes.
And there were things in here, you know, I knew about making little animals and things like you mentioned, but I hadn't thought about making the jewelry. And so there's something really for everyone in the book if they're interested in working with the clay. Well, what we're going to show today, we'll show all of these things, but this is what we're going to make. It's a little flower refrigerator magnet?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So we're going to start out with the head and the face.
And these clays come in different colors. So
but
they
come in.
Can you color them?
You can add colors to them to make shades. Like if you have purple, you know, you use to make violet. A little bit of purple, a lot of white, make violet.
So mix the clays together.
You can mix the clays together. And you can mix the different clays together. There are different kinds. Just make sure that they are the kinds that you bake in the oven, not the modeling clay. Because if you put that in the oven, it's going to melt and you're going to have a mess.
Have cookies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going to start with the head here. And I just flattened. This is translucent clay I used because I thought it looked really good with the flower petals I had. And then for the eyes, I'm just
and I noticed these are such tiny, especially when we get to the pupils. I can hardly even see them. But in your book, you even have a template that says like the 330 seconds or whatever. So it's really much easier for those of us maybe who don't have as concept of what the size is.
Right, and if you also can, my husband's an engineer, you can go to a bookstore and get, at a college bookstore, you can get a circle template. And that is perfect for, you know, measuring these out.
This takes a little patience and great eyesight,
well,
doesn't it?
And I'm doing it upside down, so it's
that makes it a little harder.
Okay, and then we're going to do the pupils and put those on top.
Do you ever use tweezers, or have you just mastered it?
No,
so you work with?
You know, and normally I work with, my nails are pretty short too. That works out good.
Yeah, so you could lose them behind long nails.
Yeah, or I'm going to, you know, get fingernails in my clay.
Well, does the clay ever get so hard that you can't add these additional features or whatever you're making?
No, you can always, you know, put it in your hand, warm it up. You want to warm it up. Yeah.
Just like when we were kids and played with clay.
And then we're going to put a nose on her. I'm calling it a her.
Well, she looks kind of feminine.
Yeah. And then, of course, we want a couple cheeks for her.
Oh,
So let's put a couple cheeks on her.
What I liked in the book, it says, this is a mistake-proof craft. So that really appealed to me.
You know, if you do make a mistake, what I like to do, you can take it apart and roll it up and start over again. You know, so there are no mistakes.
Now, if you said you've made thousands of cows and whatever. When you work on this, do you usually do it in an assembly line, or do you just work on one item at a time?
If I'm just like working on a new idea, or if I just want to make one thing, I just take out all the colors I need and I'm making that one thing. But I tend to make, if I'm making for friends or family or teachers, school teachers, these are great gifts, I'll get out the clay and make like 10 heads and 10 bodies. And
I see.
It
goes
a lot
faster,
quicker.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That's interesting.
And then this is a cutter, a circle cutter. You can also use a straw. You could cut a straw and do that.
Size, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's going to make cute little
you're just
mouth.
making a mouth. You aren't cutting through. But if you were making something like an ornament, then I guess you could use that to cut through it.
You could use it. Yeah, and circle. And like you could even use a lid from a butter thing, and you cut it out into a triangle or square. And
I bet you've learned all kinds of things
little
that you
hints,
have at home.
So you don't have to have a circle cutter. You could even use one of these things. This is
a
little stylish, to do the things there like that. And then I bake at 265 degrees.
Do you put it on a special sheet or just anything?
Just a cookie sheet or anything like that. In your oven, 265 degrees for 30 minutes. And then you want to let it cool. And then it's going to look like this guy.
Now, would you go ahead, if you were making an animal or a creature, would you make the whole thing and bake it?
Right.
You don't bake it in sections? Okay.
No. And you can bake it in sections, but it's not going to adhere as well. But that's what he looks like, all done.
How cute. Now, the color does change. It becomes more translucent.
Yeah, it becomes more translucent. And so then I just use glue, and I glue them to the center of, and this is from, you know, everybody has artificial flowers around the house.
And you've got a few leftovers.
Yeah, just take them apart, and this is just one little, you know, section of it. And then I've got a magnet that I glue to the back of it, and
that is
you've
so
got
cute.
your magnet. I mean, for your cute little refrigerator, and we're recycling here too.
Well, that's true.
Flowers.
Okay, well let's look at, since we you've shown us how to work with the clay. Here we have little something with an antenna, butterfly.
Yeah,
and that's a flower too.
That's a flower.
Silk
yeah,
flower.
it's a petal from a
And of course, this little guy, kind of bright on a daisy. Here's
Yep.
your little pig you were talking about making lots of.
They're fun.
And
They're
here's
fun.
a couple of, well, a cow, and what's this, a bumblebee?
That's a bumblebee.
I like the bumblebee.
Yeah, it's fun. And I like working with the wire too to make the little antennas.
Now, do you put the wire on and then bake it?
Right.
So everything's done.
So everything is done, and the wire tips are they have some plastic coating on them, so they melt into the clay.
Oh,
so they're not going to come out.
How
so it kind of
cute.
works out really good.
Okay, what do we have over here?
Over here we've got a sock monkey.
Oh, yeah, it does. Looks just like those.
And we've got a clown. And then we've got a snail, which are fun. And then here's another face just with, you know, using a different, there I did use the lavender, and you can see how, you know, using a different color makes it look totally different too. And then we have an octopus here.
Is there any creature that you haven't made so far that you'd like to attempt next?
Oh, what haven't I made? I'm trying to think. I know some things I love. I love to make bears. They're really fun to make.
Horses? Can you
I have
make
made
things
a horse.
standing up?
Yeah, you can make. You just have to remember that, you know, the legs have to be thick enough to hold the body so that it doesn't fall.
And so it's 265 degrees for
30 minutes. Right.
Wow, just
and then
like
let it
cooking.
cool. And yeah.
And then could you go back in with paints and paint all these things
Yes,
if you
can
wanted
always
to add
paint
more
them.
color?
Well, in fact, if you didn't want to use, you know, the clay to make the eyes, you could use paint after it's baked. You could paint the eyes on or paint anything on it.
You've got a steady hand. Okay.
Right,
Well,
right.
thank you. I really have learned a lot. I can't wait now to get home and open my packages of clay and create something.
That's great.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you for having me.
Becky, thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed reading the book. I'm glad I got it ahead of time, and especially when I realized that I now knew, I think, 3 Korean words.
Great.
Thanks to your pronunciations in there. But tell us how this all came about, how you learned to do this type of jewelry making.
Well, it started out, my husband's company was looking for somebody to go to Korea, and I just said, let's go. I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity. So when we were over there looking for our apartment in the Incheon Airport gift stop, they had these knots on like cell phone charms and all the keychains, and I went, I want to learn how to do that. That is so cool.
And you didn't even know what it was,
No,
did
I
you?
had no idea. So I went back and I did research, you know, Korean knotting, what is that? And found out it was Medupe. So when we moved over there, the relocation company agency that worked with my husband, one of the girls there found a Medupe shop and an owner that was willing to teach an American.
I bet that was a challenge, the language.
Right. They were hesitant.
Did you pass?
Well, they weren't sure we were smart enough. Americans were smart enough.
I
and she
see.
assured them that they were. And then when I got into it, I went, wow, you know, some of these knots are quite
And
difficult.
you're being humble, because I read in there where they actually were very impressed that you caught on to all of it. So you came back, wrote a wonderful book, and like I say, I learned to pronounce a few Korean words, and we're going to do a technique called Hapjeong Medupe.
Yep.
And that's
Hapjeong
a
Medupe.
different type. I mean, these are knots.
Right. There's 38 basic knots to them, but then there are still people evolving and making new knots, so that number changes. But there's 38 that have been around for thousands of years.
Well, it reminded me of macrame, which we did, 100 years ago. And so some of it is similar in the techniques. And
yes, and what you can make with it.
Well, let's show people what we're actually talking about. Maybe let's start with this necklace.
Right. Yeah, that one has some dore me dupe and senkjo, and then these are more, this is the baby chick. These are more complicated knots, as you can see. And there's two parts to the me dupe. One part is creating the knot, and the second part is tightening it. And sometimes tightening the knot, like these more, it can be more difficult than creating the knot.
And also, if you have multiple items like hanging there, they've got to be exactly the same.
Right, right. And that is what's cool with me dupe. It's the same side to side, back to forth.
Okay. You'll show us in a minute.
Yeah.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a senkjo me dupe, and that's just a string of that, and that's in the book too.
And then do you just find pieces of jewelry or things that you want to add to it?
I find things on the internet and that people have made. That's actually made of colored pencils that somebody cut. And it's beautiful. So I said, I got to make something with that.
Okay, so we could have necklaces. We can also have bracelets.
Right.
And what are these techniques?
That one there, that's a yobung. That's like a little button knot, it's called. And then the one on, and then that's the hapjong that we're going to be doing. And the one on the end, that's karachi. And that's the ring.
That's really pretty. I kind of like that purple one. What about these, the pink one?
And over here, the pink one, again, it's a bunch of, this is a little dore me dupe. And then, I forgot the name of that one. And then this one over here, we have the senkjo me dupe and more of the dore me dupe. And you can see in the cording that you can leave blanks in it. You don't have to put something solid on it. And what's really neat is the cording is very inexpensive. You can get it for like $1 a yard. And look at, you can make a beautiful necklace for a few dollars.
Wow.
So it's, wonderful.
Now, what I like are all the different colors that you have.
Right, right. This is
black and silver.
The dore me dupe with some silver karachis. And then this is a necklace made using the hapjong me dupe, which is what we'll demo today. So that whole entire necklace is
so you can make them as long as you want or as short as you want, chokers or full length. Right. And then I like the beads on the front of this one. This is a very delicate looking necklace.
Yeah, that's what the different, you can see the cording that I used on that one is 1 millimeter, so it's very thin. So the knots look different when you use different thickness of cording.
And this is what we're going to make today, this little bracelet, and this is hapjong me dupe. Okay.
Right. So I've got, to make the bracelet, you need 2 yards of 2 different colors. I've got turquoise and chartreuse here. And I've made, you find the center, and I made 1 hapjong me dupe here.
So you start from the center and work out.
Yeah, you always start in the center. That's what me dupe is. You start in the center and move your way out. So I'm going to do a hapjong over here, where I take the cord and I'm making a loop behind. And then I reach under to get the other color, the turquoise, and I put that through.
Pull it all the way through.
Pull it all the way through, and then pull each side. And
that's where you talk about the tightening.
Right.
And I guess that comes with practice. Some people probably are very tight when they make these, and then some might have the yarns looser maybe.
And see, I'm doing one right next to it again.
This is the opposite.
I'm going to do these. Right. Just
this
like
is also known as the snake knot.
Right.
I believe I read. I thought that was interesting.
Because it kind of looks like, see, it kind of looks like snake skin, like that. So you're going to do, I did 5 on each side of my little butterfly here, and then I did like a 1/2 inch, and then I did another 5 or 6. And then you do it as long as you want it. And then at the end, it's just a fold-over crimp, as you can see here, a fold-over crimp.
Oh, that's what holds the thread, so that it doesn't...
Which will hold the cording.
Or the cording, rather.
And then I like using these extenders just with a lobster claw, because it can then fit anybody's wrist.
Right, that's a good point. And I thought it was interesting, too, that this... I guess a lot of the me dupe represents happiness, and it sends a message to people's loved ones.
Every knot has a meaning, and like in the olden days, Korea had a lot of wars and a lot of invasions, and they would send their husbands and sons out to war with wearing a me dupe, and it gave them good luck. That's what it was meant to do, is good luck for them. safe return.
Has it been a little like tatting in that it's almost a lost art and has been revived, or have people just always continued to do the Maydu?
No, and actually in Korea now, the